go straight to some B-roll of me hopefully jacking the car up, putting it on an axle stand, taking the undertray off, and taking the engine mount out, so you can finally see the stupid frickin' bushes, and I can wrap this up after what feels like forever. Hello and welcome back to the STRGHT6 vlog. We're back with the Clio today. If you watched the first episode about working on this car, I gave a bit of an introduction as to why I decided it would be a good idea to buy a track-focused hot hatchback when I live in a city where there's only one racetrack that isn't generally open to the public and most of the roads are straight and full of potholes. So in the last episode we did have a quick look at the car. I will talk a little bit more about what this car is, but the main job for this video is to replace engine mount bushes. It's actually recorded over a couple of different days just because of having enough time to do everything, and it's also, as you can tell, really warm here. So working on cars for long periods is not very enjoyable in spring, as we're in right now. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the light isn't the best in here, but hopefully it won't get dark before we get too far into this. This video might end up going over a couple of days because it's like 5 something now. It tends to get dark here by 7, so we'll see how we get on. But I wanted to start under the bonnet because I think everything today is going to be here. So if you don't know what a Clio 197 is, and if you are watching this from Saudi Arabia, I suspect you don't, it is, let's step back. I didn't talk about what the car is too much in the last episode. There it is. Cars like this are not popular in this country. People like SUVs, or if they're into performance cars, it tends to be Corvettes, Mustangs, Chargers, Challengers, that kind of thing. This is very much a European type car. So it is Renault Clio, which is not Renault's smallest car in the world, but I think it was about the smallest car they sold here. What makes it cool is this bit here, partly. So this is a 2-litre 16 valve 4-cylinder, claims to be 197 metric horsepower. In reality it's probably 180 something, high 180s. That goes to a 6-speed gearbox, which is under there, through the front wheels down there, which on this one are gold, even though they should be silver. The main thing that makes these cars so good is the chassis. Like I said, in this country it's a bit of a waste of time because we don't really have much in the way of tracks. But so front wheel drive, it's got 4-piston Brembo calipers up front that you can see. These cars are all about the handling. For their time, this is a 2009. This car came out in 2006. When it was launched, it was just about the best hot hatch of this size you could buy. All about the handling. It's got dual axis front hubs to stop torque steer. They are brilliant cars to drive, especially on track. They're kind of made for track work. And yeah, they're just a great driver's car. Not a typical car to own here. The ride's a bit stiff, like I said, but whatever. So these are definitely driver's cars. Not many of them here. I think there are 2 or 3 197s here in Jeddah, a couple of 200s, which is the slightly later version, has different headlights, slightly more powerful engine, slightly tweaked suspension. Also a couple of Megans, which are the slightly bigger version, which are turbocharged. So it's not a common car here by any means, but if you're into driving, these things are really, really good. Now I know if you're into Corvettes and drag racing, you probably won't care about that, but I am not into Corvettes and drag racing, so this is definitely my kind of car. So yes, today, under the bonnet, let's talk about jobs. So top of the list is this. This is the upper engine torque mount, and as you can see, he says, it moves. It should not do this. It has a rubber bush in here, sorry for the focus, which is worn out, really common. I have an insert, which I'll get out of the box in a minute, which goes in here to stiffen this up again. I might replace this whole unit at some point, but as a short-term fix I'll put the insert in, and then maybe I'll replace this later with the insert. For extra points, there is another one of these right down the bottom of the engine, which we'll have to do from underneath. I'm going to try and do that as well. That might be tomorrow, but it will be in this video. Same deal, it's got play in it, the rubber is worn out, and we've got another insert. I've actually already got the replacement standard part, but we'll put the insert in and refit that. Again, I'll show you that in a little while. The other thing we might try and get to is the headlights. You can see here, this is a ballast for an HID kit, which is aftermarket. There's another one down there. To make the headlights kind of green, and the side lights, you can see there, are kind of orange. So that is on the list today. I also need to polish these because these are a bit messed up because of the sun. That is not a job for today. So, first thing to do is this thing. So let's try and get a tripod set up and have a look at this. But first we might have a look at the insert kit. Okay, so we have a lovely box here from England. I've never done an unboxing video, but first time for everything. These are from a company called Powerflex in the UK. That is the lower one, so we don't want that. We want this one. Let's put that back on the floor. Definitely no Adam LZ low production values. I'm doing this on my phone. I will get a vlogging camera, I promise. Oh, let's open this up. So Powerflex do two kits. They do this kind of more street biased kits, which this one is, and they do what they call the black series, where the bushes are black and they are stiffer. So what we've got is lots of stuff that I cannot get out of a box with one hand. I should have put the tripod up for this. So this is one part of the insert. This is another part of the insert, which eventually sits there. Let's take that round here. That eventually sits inside here to keep that whole thing stiffer. So that is job number one. First thing we need to do is take this thing off, and we should be able to do that without supporting the engine because it's just a torque mount. So let's get the tripod set up, maybe go to some time lapse and get that thing off. Okay, so this is an 18 as it turns out. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, there we go. You'll notice I'm using a spanner because I don't have an 18mm socket, which is really useful. I bought a set the other day because I don't have any tools here. And of course, this job had to require an 18, didn't it? So, as you can see, that came out okay. I've just checked the instructions for this kit, and we have to take this out as well, which is also an 18. If I swear, I'm really sorry, or if I knock the camera. Might have to take this, lift the scuttle for this, but I'm really hoping to avoid it. See, that is now finger tight. I don't want to have to remove this, but I might have to. That is going to make my life way less cool, because I have to remove the stock bush from this, so I will have to take this whole thing off, annoyingly. I had it in my head, I've done this before, I did it on my old Clio, that you could do it without undoing this rear bolt, but apparently you can't. Life is good. It's getting dark as well, so this video will definitely have to run across 2 recording sessions. So it is loose, but this piece is in the way of it, and I do not know how to remove it. So I'm going to stop recording and try and figure that out. So I had to resort to putting the light on. It doesn't look too bad. You can see I've lifted this. This covers the scuttle. There was a bolt here where my finger is. You can see I'm doing a nut right now, which I am hoping is going to allow me to just lift this piece of plastic enough to get the bolt out, so I don't want to take the entire plastic scuttle panel off. Because to do that you have to take off the wiper arms and everything. There we go, look. So now, boom, out. Which should mean you says. It should come off. No, it just needs a wobble. Either this is going to come off or the camera's going to fall over. There it goes. And that is that. As you can see, that it's pretty loose in there. I think I have to bend these back to remove this and then put the new one in. So let's have a look at that. Okay, we're done. So yeah, as I thought, I had to get under these tabs here. I didn't video it because it was a pain in my butt. So I had to hammer, swear a bit. That's done. So now this thing, get it in, is gone and can go in the bin. The old bush comes out, and this is where the new yellow bush goes in. I just need to put some of the supplied sealant onto it, but all good so far. So let's put that down for a second. It's all very new to me, you know, describing things as I do them. I usually just swear a lot, hammer things, and away we go. Oh, there we go. My wife has just come home, so let's put some lubricant on here and I'll assemble it. The hole in this is not big enough. You don't need to see me do this. I'll start another video once it's done. Looking at this and thought there's something weird going on, because this bush can obviously only go in one way, but the insert can go in either way, and I just realised that the metal insert is in the wrong way, because if I show it to you, it's got a shoulder, and that shoulder goes into the end of the engine, and that was in the wrong way around. So I was just looking at it thinking, hold on, have I done this wrong? But it turns out I have not, because this has to go this way up, otherwise it doesn't work. So anyway, as I was saying, he says pulling it back out again, and we just squeeze it in, put a little bit on there. You put the purple bit on like that, then you push it back in, and then you're like that. So that purple bush, you can see, holds it in place. And now we are basically done. This is being torqued to the standard FT. If you don't know what that means, just Google it. Don't want to upset the viewers. There we go. I will check those after a couple of days, just to be on the safe side. Don't want to run into any problems down the road. Don't have a torque wrench right now. I will get one. And that is that. Let me pick this up. So let's go in above. So now you can see we push the yellow side in through this side, and then this purple side slots onto it, because that stops this moving around. What used to happen, as I said earlier, with the first iteration of this bush kit, is you push this side in and this side wasn't there, so this metal arm could move towards the engine. So what Powerflex did is they redesigned it to add this spacer effectively, and what that does is just stop the whole thing moving around. The piece we're going to be replacing, this is the new one. They've got there's some polyurethane inserts to go to fill this gap. I'll show you that in a bit when I have the old one off, which I'm making sound really simple. Hopefully it'll be simple. It's just a really common thing for where this bush wears out. This bush at the front is fine, but this one wears out, and it causes the engine to rock backwards and forwards. Really common. It affects this generation of Renault Sport Clio. It affects the previous generation 172 and 182, and it does also affect the Megane as well. So apparently Renault suck at making engine mounts. Okay, I don't even know where to begin. That went badly, really badly. So we're a few days later. The reason we had to have that pause, let's call it a pause. So, first problem, I bought a jack from Amazon. That was actually the second jack that I bought. The first one showed up and it had pieces missing and it was a total disaster. It was beat to hell when it arrived. My neighbour going out in his VW Beetle just to be for some extra background noise. So I had to send that one back. Then I bought another one, which was okay, except when I tried to jack the car up, it won't go high enough. So it was actually a bit smaller than I expected. So it wouldn't actually go high enough for me to get an axle stand onto the car properly. I could just about get something under it. But the car was probably, I don't know, 10 inches off the ground. So it was just really difficult getting underneath it to get where I needed to go. So that was part of the problem. And then when I did eventually kind of get to where I needed to be, it turns out that to remove the lower engine mount, you need an 18mm socket, and I didn't have an 18mm socket, so I just gave up. I just gave up. I couldn't get an 18mm spanner where I needed it to because one of the bolts is recessed, so I just gave up. So fast forward a few days, we're back. I now have an 18mm socket, which is hopefully not so crappy quality that it breaks instantly. And I also have a new 3-ton jack, which has a longer reach, so it should lift up the car higher and we'll be all good. So we're gonna go straight to some B-roll of me hopefully jacking the car up, putting it on an axle stand, taking the undertray off and taking the engine mount out, so you can finally see the stupid frickin' bushes, and I can wrap this up after what feels like forever. Okay, B-roll. Okay, so there it is. There is the undertray, as you can see. The car is now properly up in the air. What you won't really have noticed, potentially, is just how much easier it was with the car properly in the air. I spent probably 3 or 4 times as long trying to mess about with that before than I did this time. But I wanted to show you, see? This thing? That is one end of the engine mount. You can see that big, see if I can get to it, this is the other end, I do believe, or is it, oh no, my bad, sorry, it's that one there. So I need to undo that, and then get it out in from a rather difficult gap. I might end up having to drop this. I seem to remember on my last one of these I had to do that. If I can avoid doing that, that would be nice. Okay, so we're back. Unfortunately, I couldn't video myself removing this is the one off the car, because wherever I put the my phone on the little tripod thing, where you could see what I was doing, it was basically just in exactly the spot that I needed to be to actually be able to do it. So you'll have to forgive me for that. But this is the old one. Excuse the weird lighting. I'm using the light on the phone for a reason. So this is the piece that I have taken off the car. This end attaches to the engine. This end attaches to the front subframe / crossmember, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, there are bushings in here. This front one is pretty much solid, but you can see, hence the light being on, that there is a split next to the metal insert. This at the back is the worst I have ever seen one of these. So you can see that there are basically two legs to this bush, and they are split. If I flip it over, it's basically almost split the entire way through. So it was pretty much doing nothing. Throw that away. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, it's very nice. This is the new one, so no split. And here you can see the two legs. It's got little flashings of rubber where it was moulded, so it's not solid, even though it looks kind of solid. So you can see there are no splits. And then we bring in, just switching hands, the PowerFlex box. So that comes with these two thingies. So to stop, let me put that down for a second. To stop this moving like the old one does and prevent that splitting happening again, the PowerFlex kit includes inserts, he says, making sure he picks up the right one, that slot in here. Maybe. And we're done. Except you'll notice an issue, because this is the old one. This is the new one. I've actually only got one half of this in, because I wanted to show you. This is one of the challenges. I talked in the first video on the Clio about parts. So I ordered this online, and it came from Turkey. It's not an original Renault part, which I think this probably is. Yeah, it is. It's got the mark there. You can see there's some detail differences here. Those detail differences, let me flip this over, extend. You can see that the rubber inside here is a slightly different shape. That means that this perfectly shaped insert does not fit in this not perfectly shaped, non-genuine engine mount. So this was a waste of money, effectively. I think there's actually a slight difference in the position of this compared to this. You can't really see it. Well, you kind of can see it, can't you? Anyway, this is in a slightly different position, and this piece of metal is a slightly different shape. It's slightly bigger. So that leaves me with a dilemma. Do I... got that wrong, haven't I? Do I put the poly inserts in here, like that, and fit this? Or do I fit this non-genuine one? Okay, so conclusion. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you this very effectively, but I have decided to go with this. The reason for that is that even with this bushing at the end, having this crack in it, this as an assembly, both ends, moves less than the cheap Turkish knockoff. So as a short-term solution, to get it in shot, we're going to go with this. I'm just going to put this back in, which you don't need to see because you couldn't see me take it out. So this is only a short-term solution. Unfortunately, I am going to have to buy a new one of these and swap these inserts over. But what I will say is that I know this isn't ideal. However, I want to be clear and honest about it. I've got nothing to hide. This is still a 1000% improvement on this without these yellow inserts, and still an improvement on the crappy Turkish knockoff that might not have even fit properly and had more movement than this. So I think what I will do is fit this for now and go with it. We'll be in a better place than we were, and I've got to order some parts from the UK anyway for the suspension, so I will order a new one of these at the same time from either from Renault or from someone good, you know, Febi Bilstein, someone like that, and this will then work. I don't know why I'm holding this on such an angle, because you can end up looking at it like that. So I'll fit this back in, and we'll just run with it for now until we can buy one from the UK which actually works a bit better. This one is fine. Like I said, this is going to be a massive improvement. All of the movement from this end that was causing the engine to rock backwards and forwards is gone, or will be gone, so we are a massive step forward. It's just a little bit frustrating that I'm going to have to revisit this job to replace this bit, but Funnily enough, I ended up doing exactly the same on the old 197 I had in the UK. I bought these bushes, fitted them to the old one of these, and then eventually replaced this. And based on my experience with that, it still made a big difference just doing this piece, because that on my old Clio it still had this split. So we'll do that, and then when the new one shows up from the UK, when I do the parts order, we'll replace it again. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating because it's taken lots of effort to get to this point with the jack issues and stuff, but at least we will be in a position now where with this and with this that we did earlier, even though this has been done quite a long time now, we will be in a position where the engine cannot move at all, really. You know, it'll be better than it was from the factory. The light's turned off again. My phone doesn't like the heat, sorry. So we'll be better than we were when the car was new still, but when I order a new one of these, we will be better again. So that's a few minutes of me ranting. Let's just put this back on, and then we can go inside where it's cool and there's air conditioning. Okay, so we are done. This is closed, which is a good sign. Yeah, so it's back on. They're very difficult to put back on once they've got those yellow inserts in, because they don't sit quite flush. They have to be kind of compressed finally into place. So I've still got grease on my head. Look at my hands as well. The car has clearly had a split drive shaft joint at some point, which has been replaced because they feel good. But there is grease everywhere still, so it was pretty horrible in that respect. So yeah, I went with the old one with the yellow inserts because that seemed the better option of the two. It's not perfect, but it's, as I said, 1,000 times better than it was. So that will see us for now. And when I order some parts, I'll order a new one and switch the inserts over and do that. But yeah, that with the top one is a big step forward. It's way better than it was, so that's really good. As you can see, it's got kind of dark, so we're probably gonna have to leave it there for this video. Try and have a bit of a recap because this has gone over a few days, so I'm sorry if it seems a bit disjointed. So we did the upper bushes, didn't we, in the upper engine mount, just done the lower engine mount for now. So those are the first jobs done on the Clio, which is nice. It's a little bit frustrating that it's not 100% done, it's 99% done, but it is what it is. In the next video, I think we will have a look at the paint. So while all this has been going on, I've been ordering some products and bits and pieces to just have a go at just trying to polish bits of the car. I don't know how well it's going to work. I'll show you in more detail in the next video when it'll be daylight, how bad the paint is in places. But I just want to try. I'm just curious to see what I can do with it, whether I can get it 5% better, 50% better. It is going to need paint eventually, but I'm just curious. So hopefully you'll enjoy seeing that happen, and if you live in this part of the world and you've got a car that's got some sun damage, you'll get something from it. So that is hopefully the next episode of the vlog, unless something cool happens in the meantime. But that'll be next weekend. I'm doing this on a Saturday, so it'll be next Saturday, probably like Friday or Saturday that I get to that. So we'll wrap this one up there. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the new subscribers that I've picked up over the last few weeks of doing these vlogs. I'm not famous by any means, but I do appreciate anyone that's following and liking and sharing the videos. I've had some nice comments, so I appreciate that. Please, 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 please keep sharing and liking and subscribing. It does make a difference. I know everyone says that, but to be honest, if no one watches, I'm doing it for me, but if no one watches, part of me thinks, why am I going through all of this? So I do appreciate likes and comments and subscriptions, so please keep watching. Paint in the next one, and who knows after that. But like I said, going to order some parts for the suspension, whether I do those myself or get them fitted by someone else. But I will definitely show you the process and show you what's involved so you can see that, because this car has quite interesting suspension on the front end. So we'll definitely get into that in another video, because that's probably one of the big unique points about this car. So yeah, thanks for watching this episode. Look forward to the next one. Like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz.